You found us! This is Pepper. We provide a platform for entrepreneurs who work in one of our priority ecosystems. That is Earth Valley, media and gaming, and life sciences and health. Let's dive straight in.
My name is Jos Hummelen, working at Utrecht Region and the Economic Board Utrecht. My co-host is Annette Kloprogge, business developer media and gaming at Utrecht Region.
Hello, hello.
Annette, we are at Indigo in Utrecht. How international is this event?
Quite international. We had some big players coming over on Monday talking about epic games and with our Unreal Engine. We talked to Audio Kinetics. It's really interesting. Quite some exposure.
Today's guest can speak Dutch.
Goedemorgen.
But is English. Paul Ross, CEO and founder at Stellar Entertainment Software. Welcome in Pepper.
Thank you very much. It's absolutely wonderful to be here.
So we know Stellar, we know Stellar from Need for Speed, Hard Pursuit, Sea of Solitude, Burnout Paradise, Knockout City. What makes Stellar Entertainment a unique brand?
I would say that Stellar Entertainment, in its core and its tenets and its belief, is that we are absolutely in pursuit of quality. And for a business, we may be slightly unusual in that we don't actually worry about the financial side or the finances, which most businesses do. We are number one about quality. We want to make the best software we can, and we absolutely push and push. And we move heaven and earth to make that happen. It really is totally in everything we are and everything we're about. And I'd say that that's what makes us really, really stellar in our performance, is the fact that we will do anything to get to that quality and to make the best software we can to delight our fans.
So here in Utrecht, we always talk about health, healthy society. You're sitting in front of a banner that says so. How important is that? Or is it just entertainment, entertain people, that's it? Is it?
No, I think that the games industry has changed a lot. So I came into the games industry back in 1996. And my time at Criterion Games, when we were working on the Burnout series and the Need for Speed series, I don't think that Criterion could exist today in today's culture. It was very, very driven. It was very hard. There were times there personally where I crunched 7 days a week. I started work at 6 in the morning and I finished at midnight. And I did that for about 3 or 4 weeks without a day off.
How did you do that?
It was crazy. I was basically living at work.
Yeah.
I was basically living at work.
Mattress under your desk.
Pretty much. I mean, I was going home to sleep and then coming back in the next day. But the thing is, that just couldn't exist today. It would rightfully, it couldn't exist and it shouldn't exist. So what we have today is we're trying to create a studio that works for everyone. So we're trying to produce a healthy environment where people can actually be their best, because when you're running a video game studio, you might think that we're making video games. And I've got a slightly strange view on that. We sort of do, but actually what we're doing is we're buying and selling skills. We're almost like a stock market for skills. So we're going out to, for example, Indigo today to go and see what skills we can find in the market, which we then go and purchase. And then we package those together in video games. But you have to remember the people that own those skills, they are people. They're your greatest asset. And I know that's a cliche, but they truly, truly are. And so the job of a studio such as Stellar is to produce a studio that works for everyone, for a diverse set of people, so we can get the absolute best out of them, so we can be the best. And that's a very, very important part of our formula.
But it's a cliche for a reason. Your personnel is obviously super important, and their health is important. But what about the gamers?
Well, the gamers are the people who arbitrate. They are our audience, and they decide whether we were successful or not. And I honestly think in today's much more hyper-connected world that people don't like games that have been heavily crunched and produced in the sweatshop. I honestly think it's a very bad thing for you. Crunch is awful for all sorts of reasons. People leave your studio, so people that you invested a lot of money in all go off and they go work somewhere else where they don't have to crunch. It produces worse products because people are doing it tired, knackered. I mean, I thought I was putting in an amazing performance working from 6 to midnight. I wasn't. I absolutely wasn't. I was dead on my feet. So There's all sorts of reasons why it's a crazy way of running your project. So not only is it morally a bad thing to do, it's also worse for the products that you make. It really is. And especially in a creative industry, you can't think straight doing it.
People working within the game industry are quite passionate people, right? They're really doing it for the craft. Do you sometimes have to send them home?
Yes. And but it's not just like overwork, but it's all sorts of things. For example, there's been a lot of hot weather recently. So if the studio gets too hot, it's like, look, this is crazy. Let's go home and we're going to sit this one out, and then we'll work a bit later, or we'll do something a bit different. So it is looking after your employees in absolutely all senses of the word. To be brutally honest, giving you a slightly controversial opinion as well, is that I actually come from a neurodiverse background myself. I have ADHD. And that means that the studio I've built is also quite a neurodiverse studio. I mean, I jokingly say sometimes I'm not sure if we're a game studio or maybe a daycare center sometimes. But, that's true. I think that the rate of neurodiversity in video games is much higher than in other industries. And so when you're building a studio, something that can support those people, you have to build that in. You have to think about that as well.
Can you show some examples of how you managed to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of understand that people might not work a regular pattern. People have different needs. We also understand that some people need fidget spinners on their desk. They really do. We also kind of understand that some people might get easily distracted, and it's one of the wonderful things about ADHD. People think it means that you lose focus on things.
You're super hyper focused.
Sometimes you are, and it's bizarre. When I had my diagnosis quite late at night, I suddenly realized that when I was at Electronic Arts, they had the best people money could buy. I mean, the greatest people. I worked with the guy who put Michael Jackson's Black or White video together that had all the face morphing. I was working with the world's greatest. And I thought, isn't it weird? Sometimes if I'm really into something, I can out-concentrate every single one of them. And now I realize why I could do that. And it was because it was a neurodiversity.
The name is really wrong. Attention deficit disorder is not the thing.
Yeah, sometimes it can...
It's a hyper-focus.
Hyper-focus.
Yeah. And I think, to be honest with you, hyper-focused folks can sometimes make the best games out there. They can make the greatest software, because when they're into it, when they're really into it, you're going to get some incredible results. So in our studio, we do an awful lot of that. And I think a lot of our, we have somebody on the directorship board. We call him the business dev guy. Doug McConkey. He's really good, but he does an awful lot of pastoral care. So, for example, we pull people away from the desks and he takes them out for a walk. And I got to admit, sometimes, oh God, he's harassing me to go for a walk. I can't really be, I've got to get on with this thing.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, but we also know that there is no health, mental health, without physical health. We know that now how important that is. Newsflash, we had no idea back in the early 2000s that a diet of pizza and beer and stress actually isn't that good for you, believe it or not. And so that's why we have people like Doug McConkey who check in with all of our staff. We have our HR who checks in with the staff, and we make sure that we take people out and we take them for walks, and we take them around Guildford, and we take them around the Guildford countryside. And also the snacks that we feed people, that's all changed. When I was working on some of the Burnout games, there used to be a trolley of sugary sweets in the middle of it.
Keeps you going.
Yeah, and if you're a bit down, then some sweets or some candies and a donut kind of feels nice, doesn't it? It's a bit of a dopamine hit.
Yeah, for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you feel awful.
And then you crash.
Then you sugar crash. So when you look at the snacks that we now provide, they're much more healthier and they're much more sustainable. We put a lot of fruit in the kitchen. We also have, salad bars and things like that. And I think these are really the changes that we've seen in the games industry, of how developers are not cows to be milked, but they're assets that you have to love and nurture and grow.
Well, those are some great takeaways already. You talked about spotting talent as well. What else brings you to Indigo?
I think that it was quite a long history. So I first came to the Netherlands back in '93 as a stagiaire, and I worked in Reminiscing, just outside Rotterdam. Yeah, it's a really, really beautiful part of the world. So I came and I fell in love with the Netherlands. I love the Dutch culture. I love the food. I love just
the food.
The food.
I know everyone looks at me like stranger. Yeah, I mean, Rookfest broodje from Hema. I mean, it's sensational. It really is. Your brown cafes are fantastic. The bitterballen and your shawarma. I mean, it's a cool place.
Shawarma, yeah, that's a Dutch kitchen.
The colonial treasures that we took back.
Stroopwafels. I mean, who doesn't like a stroopwafel?
True.
I've never had anyone eat a stroopwafel.
You do have a apartment in the Netherlands, right?
Yes. We've one of the things that we've had to do in order to get people from the UK over to here, because I also believe in having. For me, when I came to the Netherlands, it was such a strong experience that I've had to take accommodation out here so that we can have our UK folks come and visit the Netherlands, and similarly our Netherlands friends come and visit us in the UK. We don't want our Dutch studio to be some kind of secondary outpost. It's very much part of Stella and part of our DNA. And I always thought that the more you can get folks to talk to each other, the stronger and better you're going to be. In some ways, I look at the United States, and I think if you look at the United States, rightly or wrongly, whatever you think about the country, it is one of the arguably the most powerful in the country, in the world. And it's made up of a whole range of diverse people. And when I was dealing with the American teams at EA and Amazon and some of the other companies, the thing that I really noticed is they could take the best of everyone. So it didn't matter what it was they were trying to achieve. If you're trying to do a fast food store, well, they've got 500, 1,000 different people who are all trying to do fast food. So they're going to get the best solution to whatever problem. And you looked at how they were building their teams. They had such a diverse background. So I greatly believe in diversity. So if you look at Stellar Entertainment, we might be 60 people, but I think we've probably got about 15, 20 nationalities where we are. So I truly, truly believe in having that very, very diverse workforce will get you the best results.
What are some key things to reach out to all sorts of backgrounds? Because it's quite a struggle to reach the right people. You're often stuck in your bubble when you communicate.
Yeah. You're absolutely 100% right. And do you know what? In a funny way, making a very homogenous studio, I have some friends who work in another studio, and they're mostly very experienced game developers. They're men in their late 40s, early 50s. And that's quite easy to run because what you're going to do for the summer party, well, it's going to be a barbecue and it's going to be beers because that's what they like. It's very easy. But when you're dealing with a more diverse range of people, not everyone drinks alcohol. That's all changed. You know, some of the younger people.
Not everybody eats all kinds of meat.
Yeah, there's some vegans. So once you try and become more diverse, it does present you more challenges. But I also think it really is a bit of a strength, so that what you can do is you can offer a range of things. You can do different things. So not everyone would like to go to the pub on a Friday. Some people like to play board games and things like that. So you get new experiences that you probably wouldn't actually have experienced before by having such a wide range of people. So,
but the question was, how do you reach out to them? How do you find them?
How do you find them? Come to great places like this. You know, you come to Indigo and you go and you meet people. You go off and you do these different things.
With a personal approach.
Yeah, very much so. And I think that when I was growing up in my early 20s, my late teens, and even into my 30s, I did a lot of traveling. I was so lucky. I went to Cambodia and Thailand and Vietnam and India, and I went all around the world. Now I look back at those, what I didn't realize I was learning was how to get things done in another country. And I was in Cambodia in the late 90s, and the Khmer Rouge had left, and it was a smashed up country that was barely functioning. And yeah, I went from the northwest down to the southeast. You were learning important skills about how you can deal with people and talk to people from a different background. And actually, you know what? People aren't really that different. They all love their families. They all like their mum and dad, and they kind of all like their security and things like that. And we're actually all quite similar, really, in some ways. We're not that different.
Yeah. So you talked about the gaming. Well, you talked about when you started in 1969.
No, I'm not that
1996,
old.
yeah.
That was the moon landings.
Hey, this is a typical Dutch fault because we switched. We switched a little bit. But you talked about what you did in your studio. Can you describe how the gaming industry was in the middle of the 90s?
I can do. I'm not sure if this is suitable for work or something. I would say that back then, it was a continuation. It was a different world. It was a very different world. And I think that when you look back to the 80s, for example, in London, people drinking alcohol on the train on the way up to work wasn't unusual. And people having long, liquid, boozy lunches was not unusual.
Sounds very British to me.
No, but the industry itself, the gaming industry.
Yeah. So when you look at the industry and how that was born into that culture, I would say that it was far more hedonistic. It was a lot less professional than it was today. It had come from this bedroom kind of coder background. And so I would say that drinking beers at work and really work was kind of something, it wasn't really a job. It was just something you were doing.
Kind of the working from your garage.
Yeah. And even when we went into the offices, I remember a friend of mine saying, I've got an appraisal. I can't believe how this industry is sold out to the man. I can't believe that this is what we're all doing. And he was outraged we were doing appraisals. And I still remember pensions coming in and thinking, wow, what is this? We're doing a really? I mean, that's kind
Getting
of cool.
that serious?
Yeah. As we started to see, the whole industry started to professionalize, and it went very much from a hedonistic, some of the parties were wild, absolutely wild, like people taking off their shirts and walking around bare-chested and drunk.
But it was still a sausage party with a lot of beers and guys.
Sounds very female-friendly, yeah.
And it changed in the 2000s. It really started to professionalize. And I think that what you see today is a very, very different games industry.
What made it change?
I think there was a few things that made it change. First thing is a lot more money turned up. So investors were seeing the amount of money that some video games could be made. And I think that a lot of that turned up and a lot of that forced change. You know, suddenly there were KPIs and people had to report what they were doing. I think the sort of people that were coming into the industry were changing as well. I remember financial software developers coming in who were used to wearing a suit every day, coming into the games industry and thinking, what is this? I mean, this is barely an industry. But they brought a lot of new skills and ideas and talent and professionalism that we'd not seen before. So as the industry grew from that small core, it did just cool. It's almost like an expanding universe. It kind of cooled and it professionalized, and that's what you kind of see today. And I think it's a far healthier, better place to be today than it was back in the early 2000s. It was a lot of fun in the early 2000s, don't get me wrong. But I think today when you look at it, and also you look at the changing demographic of who buys video games now, you know, it's no longer the traditional nerdy boy sat in a bedroom playing on his PlayStation. Is now far more diverse in our audience. In order to reflect our audience, we have to reflect the people that make those video games. So it really did grow up. And I would say along the way, it probably had some hangovers, and it probably still has that party element into it maybe, and slightly wild times, but it's a very different industry today. And I think probably a lot healthier. Well, there's no doubt it's a lot healthier.
So it was a sort of a teenager. How old is it now?
I would say it's probably in its early 30s. It's probably getting a mortgage and probably moving in with its partner
Stable
and settling down. Yeah.
White picket fence.
Yeah. It's not had children yet, so it's not exactly. It's still going out and partying. It's probably still thinking it's cool, but possibly not quite as cool.
A little bit like me. Great. Hey, let's talk about Guildford. You mentioned before. It's a place a little bit southeast of London. Am I right?
It's to the southwest.
Southwest, yeah, southwest. And to me, it sounds like a brilliant name for a defend your castle game. Yeah. So, do you get a lot of talent from London?
We do. So we're very fortunate in Guildford. We call it the Hollywood of video games. It's one of the largest video games developers in the UK, and there's an awful lot of things made there. Sean Murray with Hello Games, who went off to go and make No Man's Sky. Sean Murray was actually my AI programmer on Burnout 3, and then obviously we've got Siobhan Reddy with Media Molecule, who did some great software for Sony. You've got Electronic Arts there, and we've got a bunch of startups. So
crazy.
For such a small town, the really truly crazy thing about it is none of the local people in Guildford know about it. Nobody knows.
Best kept secret.
Yeah, it's amazing. And my wife at the time, I I said to her, I'm in the games industry. She said, oh, we've got a games industry. It's like, yeah. I mean, you must see the game developers walking around town. And she goes, oh, no, I've never seen them. I mean, now she can spot the game developers. And
How?
Well, we've all got a slight look to us, haven't we, really, some might say.
I heard you say or the commentator in an interview say the chance to bump into a game developer is bigger than any type of other profession in Guildford.
I would say so. I mean, especially if you go to the right places. So if you go to Kokoro for your chicken katsu curry, or you go to the Greek gyros place.
All the guilty pleasures.
Yeah, all the good stuff that we pretend we don't do anymore, but we still do a little bit. That's where you'll find all our game developers.
How do you build an ecosystem like that and there?
Well, that's the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it? And I think that there's some key tenets to it. And I think that when I look at Utrecht kind of feels maybe where Guildford was 25 years ago, something like that. So
that's a good thing.
That's really good news.
No, it is. I mean, so the thing that really attracts me to the Netherlands, and I'll get back to how you build that ecosystem, is that the Netherlands has the potential to make some fantastic video games. And I base that on a few assumptions and a few things I've observed. So the first thing is that the Dutch are highly educated and they're hardworking, and they are very good at engineering and very good at software engineering. I base that on some of the great universities. You got the TU Delft, and I look at some of your history with Philips. So you have a history of doing good engineering. The other thing is I look around and I see that the Dutch can do art. So you go to the Rijksmuseum and you see some of the fantastic artwork there and some of the Dutch masters. The Dutch can do art. So they can do some engineering and they can do some art. The Dutch have also had some experience of exporting their culture, limited.
Some experience.
But they have managed to achieve it. And countries that are very successful in making video games have generally done well in exporting their culture. If you look at the UK, we've had pop band after pop band we've managed to export. And if you look at the USA, another massive video game producer has exported its culture very successfully. So companies, for example, if you look at India has struggled to export its culture. Very few people watch Bollywood movies outside of nerds.
My wife is in a Bollywood movie, by the way.
Sorry?
My wife's in a Bollywood movie.
Oh,
really?
Fantastic.
Yeah. But proceed.
So India, even though it's got a billion people, has got a functioning software industry, has struggled to really make a dent in the global video games. Because they struggle to export their culture. Now, why that is, I don't know. I mean, I have watched some Bollywood movies and they're big and they're lavish and they're amazing, but they just don't get mainstream acceptance for whatever reason. Alternatively, you look at Jamaica. Jamaica's a tiny island, has exported its music and is massively successful. So a thought in my head is like, could they make a decent video game in Jamaica? That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? I mean, Red Gold, I mean, who knows what it'd be like.
So would you connect, for example, our export success with EDM towards the game industry and how to export that kind of success? Is that a bridge that we can build?
So I think to come back very quickly is you can do the Dutch can do science, they can do art, they can export culture, and I feel that the time is right for the Dutch games industry to really surge forward. You've got Guerrilla Games who have shown that the Dutch can make AAA really, really good games. And I can also see that you have Nixes here in Utrecht,
massive success,
who've been extremely successful. And so this country is ready to surge. It's got everything in place that it needs and all the raw materials. And I feel it's almost to talk about my traveling days in the past. When a country wants to become a tourist destination, it generally starts off with backpackers because they build the initial infrastructure of buses and hotels and somewhere to stay. And then those things evolve over time and it becomes more of a tourist destination. When I look here, you've got an awful lot of indie and iOS and mobile development, and you've had some success with the AAA. So it just feels like it's ready and it's ripe to go to that next level. And that is why I invested in the Netherlands from what I can see. And I'm very, very happy. I feel that this could be where a major success comes in the future. And certainly looking at how my Utrecht studio is operating and some of the great folks we've got in there, there is a lot of talent here in this country that is ready to really surge. So I'm very excited.
Very happy to hear and get all excited.
A lot of kind words indeed. But what can we here in Utrecht learn from you if our game developers would visit?
So I would say that there's a few things. Some of them are easier to fix and some of them are harder to fix. So the first thing is we're trying to build a gaming ecosystem here. And in Guildford, we almost have a gentleman's agreement that we don't recruit from each other's businesses. And the reason why we do that is because it's better for the whole of Guildford if we draw people into Guildford. And that means we can all grow our businesses, we can all grow our game studios. And whilst there's a little bit of intermingling, it means that Guildford becomes more of a destination because there's more games companies. It's safer to go there and move there because let's say you want to move your job, you've got more choice there. So the first thing is Utrecht needs to not cannibalize from each other's game studios. We need to draw people into Utrecht, and Utrecht needs to be a destination.
Okay, very concrete.
Can you make sure that happens, Hannah?
Yeah, I'm making notes.
So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing that I would say is that it's making sure that the infrastructure here is correct and making sure that it's easy to get broadband. We've had some challenges with getting broadband installed and things like that. It's making sure that Schiphol, that the lines there are clear and people can get through Schiphol and things like that. There's some higher level things that need to happen just for the good of the business health of the entire country.
We always like to think of ourselves as good, interconnected via rail and of course the air.
Yeah. And I think that's a real strength. And again, it's why I picked Utrecht. The other thing was, I mean, I started this when we were all in lockdown. Remember that? There was a thing called COVID a long time ago.
Seems like ages ago.
Skipped it from my memory.
But when we actually started here in Utrecht, I looked at the map of the Netherlands and I tried to work out where we're gonna set up. And the thing is, I looked at Breda. There's a great university down there that we're producing some fantastic graduates.
True.
But it was too far away from Schiphol, and I didn't want to travel to Schiphol, and then we had a long train journey away, so we didn't do that. And Rotterdam was the other issue; it was too far away from Schiphol. And then we looked at Den Haag, and Den Haag's a great place, so mooi achter de dunes, and we had a quick look. But the problem with Den Haag is it's on the coast, and so if you look at the recruitment circle around it, 50% of it's sea. You're not recruiting anyone from there, so it's land based. So we rejected that. Amsterdam was just crazy expensive in order to set up a studio there, and for the office space, it was just massive. And so we looked at Utrecht, and Utrecht fitted all the bills. It's close to Schiphol. It's better priced. It's got better availability of resources. It's closer to the German border, so we can start to pull people in from Germany as well. It's nice and connected. It's got nice direct routes. And so in the middle of lockdown, I picked Utrecht, but obviously I couldn't even leave my own.
All based on pictures.
Yeah, but it was all based on my experience of the Netherlands back in the 90s. So I picked Utrecht based on 1993.
No, but also the map.
Around.
I like the fact that you just looked at the map. That's great.
Yeah, and we did. And I would say that the Dutch, it's been a great place to set up a business. It's got great infrastructure for all of that. The only thing that's a real problem and makes things very difficult here is lack of accommodation. It's just so hard to find accommodation.
Shortage of houses.
Yeah. I mean, my graphics engineer, who is a fantastic guy. I mean, he's truly world class, and he sent out 175 applications to get one apartment, and that is just headwind. It's already hard to get people to move.
That doesn't sound new.
Did that made it a hard landing?
It made it. I think that doing business in any landscape is different, and they all present their own challenges. So Stella UK and Stella EU, we've just opened up our office in Stella Games Asia. That's the first time we've told anyone that we have.
Really? Scoop? Another scoop?
So we've opened up, we've registered our office in KL in Malaysia. And that presents its own challenges. So every single place that you go has its own, and every landscape is different. And I would say that's the one thing that makes doing business here in Utrecht tougher, is that lack of accommodation.
What else is missing? Where should we focus on?
I think I will give you some Dutch directness. From my discussions with a lot of Dutch entrepreneurs here and to a lot of Dutch game teams, is that they don't think big enough. And I'm really not sure if that's a mindset or if it comes from your do normal.
Is it the Dutch or Utrecht?
I would say it's the Dutch. And but I think that here people are just not ambitious enough. I will give you another crazy observation, and I put it out there, folks. I don't have an MBA. I haven't got any of this formal education. So, talk to the folks at Nyroda. Who can probably do a better analysis than I can. But
we're asking you for a reason.
I will give you my view. And I think that here in the Netherlands, when I look at the country and the way it's set up, is that if you are very wealthy, there's not a huge amount to spend your money on. And I'll tell you why I think that's important. So you can stay in the best hotel in Utrecht and the room will be about 300 euros a night or something like that. Whereas you can stay in London and the top hotel there will be about 13,000 euros a night to stay in. So we have more reward for being successful. You'll get a butler in the hotel room. You'll get far, far more.
It's more accepted to be successful.
It's more success. But here in the Netherlands, there is less pressure because if you are wealthier because your company has done well, there is less to really dispose that on. Well, I don't know, maybe you can afford a 2-bedroom apartment in Utrecht. Who knows?
Well, you can afford a house if you're super successful.
Exactly.
That's something.
But I would also make that as a kind of an observation is that it feels less set up for success, whereas in America, if you're successful, then there's all kinds of services for you to do, and I'd say that's another key.
In general, I think the Dutch don't care too much about the glitter and glamour. They like a hotel room of 300 euros, maybe for one night, but 1,200. Why would you pay that for a night?
They'll spend for good investments.
To
make more money, to have better results. But I also think it's very typical for the gaming industry to be very modest, right?
I don't know. I mean, I've worked with. I think that the games industry in the countries reflect who they are. So I would say when I was working in the west coast of the US in Seattle, I mean, they celebrated any win. It was really bizarre because in the US, it didn't matter what they won. They celebrated it at the team meeting. I remember watching somebody celebrate winning a competition for art. Nothing to do with the game, nothing to do with the company.
I like that though.
But it was there and it was number one. It was really, really interesting.
No, but that's what we can learn from the Americans.
We're really bad at that.
The British, we concentrate on anxiety. So we concentrate on what's wrong. We walk around, our social anxiety and why we're always so polite, we don't want to offend anyone, goes into our company. So we are very anxious. Yeah, I just don't think we're going to make the next milestone. And I think that we've got to be a bit worried about that. And we could be winning on something. When I look at the games I made with Burnout Paradise, we were winning. They were made deeply anxiously. They were just angst. If it was a teenager album, it would be completely emo. Was how that studio was. It was all anxious.
Where does that fear come from?
It's cultural, I guess. I mean, that's why we can't tell anyone the truth about anything. When everyone says, "Oh, are you going to come around my house?" we won't say no, like the Dutch will. We'll say, "Oh, yes."
We'll say yes and not invite you.
We should say, "Oh, yes, we should think about that and consider that in the future." Yeah. Whereas I feel the thing is when you look at the Dutch games industry, it's very, very collaborative and it's very polder model, for example. One person left us to go and work at another company, but he liked working with us. And so he didn't actually he ended up contracting for us a couple of days a week and he was with the other company for 3 days a week. That's a very, very Dutch way of doing things. Yeah. It's kind of very collaborative and it's very compromising and it's the Dutch mindset. So when I look at the 3 different countries that I've operated in, we've just opened in Asia, and Asia's very, very hierarchical. I mean, they want job descriptions, they want tickets, they are very, very hierarchical. But you look at the games industry, they are very, very reflected by the people and the culture that creates them.
Okay.
So at the ROM, we work on an ecosystem that combines media and gaming. Is that a logical combination in your eyes?
I think so. I honestly think so because we're all about entertainment. I mean, that's what we're all here today to do. I would go along with the BBC.
Media is not always entertainment. It can be infotainment, but
it can be to educate, entertain, and inform. And some people, I would argue, probably look at documentaries and that's how they get their entertainment. Some people read the newspapers that are very, very highbrow, and that's their entertainment. But maybe entertainment is a bad word. Maybe it's more about getting people's attention and focus. Maybe that's a better way, and that's what we're all competing for now.
What kind of crossovers do you see in the future between media and gaming?
Oh my goodness. I mean, the best way of looking at idiots to make predictions about the future of video gaming, isn't it? I mean, who knows? You look at the amount of things that are coming all the time. We've just come through the whole Web3, the whole blockchain, the whole NFT thing. Before that, it was VR. I was around when online turned up and everyone was saying, well, we went from 2D games to 3D games and online is the next version of that. And some people said we should not do it and it won't come to anything. And now everything is online. So who in the hell knows what will happen? It's interesting to see what will stick, but the things that we are aware of is that it has to be frictionless. Anything that has any friction, for example, VR, having to put the headset on and sit there with the headset on was too much friction for people to accept at home. I think that when you start to look at how things might converge, my only interest would be, I think there's an awful lot more data you can generate about yourself now with Apple Watches and your Fitbit and things like that. And I think that possibly the crossover of that, especially with people being far more health conscious today, and how you can gamify that and how you can bring things in. I think that kind of thing is possibly interesting, but I would hate to make any predictions. I mean, I'm here to make sure that the video game is cool, the high score table is cool, and you keep playing.
Let's focus on Stellar Entertainment here for a second. Can you paint a picture? How many employees, etc.?
So we have 50 people in the UK and we have 10 people here in Utrecht. We're looking to grow Utrecht to about 20 people this year. But we're never going to just take anyone. We have to grow correctly because the important thing is that the software we make is really, really good. So whilst we would like to move to 20, we've just taken larger offices so we can grow to that.
Where?
Right in the centre of Utrecht, on the Utrecht. So again, it's very important to us that our employees have great access to bars and restaurants and cafes.
You cannot find a better spot.
Exactly. And that's super important, isn't it? Because if trying to get people to come and look at your video game is really, really hard. Trying to get them to look at your video game in the middle of nowhere is a really tough sell. Trying to get them to look at your video game in the middle of somewhere really cool with lots of nice restaurants nearby just makes it slightly easier. I talked earlier about friction. It's about trying to remove that friction. So yeah, we've taken up space for up to 20 people, and so we look forward to expanding into that and see how long it takes us.
What's your current biggest project?
I could announce that maybe next year.
Ooh.
But maybe a little bit.
Is there an object that would be interesting to know about in the game?
We like racing.
Racing. And that's it.
Racing games are really cool, aren't they? What's your favorite racing game of all time?
I'd say all time. Yeah, that's difficult.
Need for Speed.
Great answer. Yes.
I'm a Mario Kart fan.
Oh yeah.
It just needs to look wholesome and adorable.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
And not your biggest project then, but what occupies the most time in your weekly agenda? Is that traveling back and forth?
No, I would say that it's the way that companies and society works is quite unusual because if you're really quite good at being a video game developer, you get to develop video games, but you only get to do it for a while, and then you become a lead, and then you're leading other people to make video games. And I became company CEO. I was actually a software engineer for a long time. And now my biggest agenda is to provide an environment for everybody to be able to do their best work. And that's really, really what we're trying to do based on what I experienced. So, for example, I remember my dad getting married and I went to his wedding and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm here. I've got so many bugs to fix. I've got so much to do and I'm here at this wedding and I just can't be here.
Oh, you couldn't enjoy it?
No, my dad said to me, he said, I'm sorry to swear slightly, he said, Paul, is this a bit of a pain in the ass for you to be here? And I smiled at him sweetly and said, no, of course not. But inside I was thinking, yeah, it's a right pain in the ass. I've got so many bugs to do. I felt terrible about that, and I thought we could never be that as a company. I never, ever want that to happen. I never want anyone in my company. But
that's great because now you're a CEO with the experience of a software engineer, so you know exactly what you don't want to feel or what you don't want your personnel to feel.
Exactly, and that's why we have a thing at Stellar, which is family first. Family first. If your child is running in the sports day, it doesn't matter. I mean, let's get real here.
Yeah.
It's a video game. It's not a cure for cancer. No one's going to die. No one's going to be taken hostage. You're not sat here negotiating with, I know, some hostage
That's
situation.
really refreshing.
So family first. Put your family first. If your wife is unwell, stay at home with her. If your kid is in the sports day, go and do the sports day. If your mum and dad are unwell and you're caring for them, work from home. And I never wanted anyone to feel like I did on that day when I was at my dad's wedding. And my dad was very unwell and I was at his wedding. And I thought, yeah, to be honest with you, total pain in the ass me being here. I need to fix these bugs.
Yeah, because
so that's
you feel
something,
the pressure.
Yeah, and that's something that we've changed.
That brings us back to the first topic about health, and make sure your people are healthy and look after their family. Annette, what's the most important takeaway from this conversation with Paul Ross?
That gaming can be a beacon of hope for all other sectors to be a healthy working environment.
I think it was a great conversation. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to Pepper, a Dutch podcast on regional companies in cities like Hilversum, Amersfoort and Utrecht. Thank you so much, Paul Ross of Stellar Entertainment Software, for being with us at Indigo. And thank you, Annette Kloprogge.
Thanks for listening to Pepper, a podcast made in the Utrecht region in the center of the Netherlands. Utrecht is the beating heart of a healthy society. Go to doingbusiness.utrechtregion.com to find out more. That is doingbusiness.utrechtregion.com. See you next time!